As spawning in the top right-hand corner, here of Undercurrent, we have our Danish Protoss player. We have a Danish Protoss player, our Polish Terran. We have our Storm team, our red team of MaxPax and Spirit. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the blue team, the Canadian Protoss, the French Terran. We have Clem and Trigger. Go. Oh, let's go. As it looks like our players are sharing control, and Trigger, he is taking the gas geyser for Clem. Let's go. Which is more efficient. It is more efficient here. Ooh. As our workers are moving out. Hello. Probe and SCV scout across the map. And yeah, I was curious. There's no reason to go for a double worker scout. It is going to be a proxy Rax. Okay. So we have one Rax at home, one across the map. It should be 2 Rax Reaper aggression here from Spirit. And we'll see what they can get done. We'll see if Clem and Trigger can keep up, as they're going for their own standard openers. For those that are curious, the kind of efficiency of going for this gas geyser here is that Clem, he doesn't have to waste one worker building, right? Like whenever you construct a building for Terran, you have to waste a unit to be stuck there the entire time constructing, which is of course inefficient here. Meanwhile, we just, for a Protoss, you can just throw it on the gas. Throw it on the gas geyser and just mine that much faster. So it is a nice little more like efficient start here from our players. Natural bases are being taken. I don't know if you saw, but Clem, he was about to get another gas geyser. I'm curious if he's just gonna like ask Trigger, like, "Yo, can you give me another gas?" That's the exchange we're hearing. Meanwhile, again, Spirit is the aggressor. We have the Reapers. Reapers are on the way. We're making the way towards the cliff face. Moving in. Once again, Stargate opener out of MaxPax. Forcing back the main army. Bunker will not complete. Oh my god. Yeah, bunker is denied. Reaper takes a lot of hits. Stalker does come in to reinforce though, and Trigger, he will zone away those Reapers. He will zone. Trigger, he will defend. He's here for his boy. He's here for Clem. As Spirit, he does reinforce. Still making more Reapers. Now going to be zoned away. You can see Trigger, he's at that Reaper cliff. He's ready. He is ready. Somewhat of the Stalker is going to be overwhelmed. The Stalker goes down. Massive pickup. Takes down a Stalker. Goes to the mineral line. Shield batteries in position. And one Reaper will fall. Likewise, Stalker does rush past the bunker. Gets an SCV. Damage is being done. Getting up. Getting a second SCV. Getting a third. 3 SCV kills. Jesus. Yo, the animals here are so loud. Like, pay attention to us. Like, mate, calm down. Oh my god. As the blue team defends. They do defend in the aftermath. They lost 4 SCVs. 4 SCVs went down. Some okay damage. Considering that the Spirit did maintain most of his Reapers. They're still alive. Still alive. Likewise, MaxPax coming in for the natural once again. Takes down a mule that was about to expire. But gets 1 SCV. Takes down 1 SCV. Pulls away. Likewise, behind this, doing what he does best, Mass Phoenix. Double Stargate Phoenix here, out of MaxPax. Clem gets punished for being active. Bleeds out of Reaper. Again, there's just so much utility here with this Oracle. Harassing, denying any kind of run by. Clem behind this, getting his way 1-1-1 into Cloak Banshee. Now going for his 3rd CC. And there's a lot of pressure here on Clem to get some counter damage done here with these Banshees. Likewise, Trigger, Blink Stalker. Getting into Blink. Getting into Blink Stalkers. MaxPax rallying in. Oh. It's the main. Gets a couple of pro kills. That's going to be 2, 3, 4 pros going down. So far, so good. 5. Oh my god. 5 pro kills for... Oh no. Gets 5 pros, but the last second Banshee gets picked off. Ay, ay, ay. Suddenly less worth it here for Clem. And both Clem and Trigger, they're just stuck at home. They're just perpetually contained here by the Mass Phoenix. And Mass Phoenix, it can just be so oppressive. As they're not allowed to move out. Not allowed to be active. They are just contained. And we'll see if Clem can establish the third. See if we can take the third base. Spirit going for his own. Both Terrans going into bio tank. They make their way into the main. Marines are ready. Yo, this time Clem is in position. Going for the gold. Clem setting up for his own, sorry, Spirit, Trigger setting up for his own third as well. Oh. As the Stalkers are caught out. Takes down 2 Stalkers, still building up, at least the Terrans are. Spirit has the gold. Clem attempts to take his own. Sending the army away. And here we go. Blue team does commit. Oh, scans, spots the stasis. As mass lift here on the Stalkers. Archons, they will zone away. Not bad. Again, the Archons, they cannot be lifted. So they're all here to zone. Oh, no! Stasis does connect. Clem, he gets caught out. He gets caught by the stasis. Behind this MaxPax, still just going pure Phoenix. Fleet beacons on the way for Phoenix range. But he does need that Terran support as well. Does need that ground support against the Archons. Again, I'm loving the addition here of the Archons as they will protect those tanks. Phoenix is looking for another way in. They're trying to poke forward. Clem gaining grounds. Getting within range of the mineral line. Trying to get within range. Taking one step forward. Oof. Tank shots going up. And Spirit, he's in trouble. He will lose the tank. And one tank goes down. Phoenix, they dive in. They catch out the Medivacs. But Spirit and Clem, they're doing well for themselves. At least they're trying to. Liberator has arrived. Spirit stepping in, catches a tank. Uh-oh. No tanks left. No tanks remaining. And he commits. He commits to the fight. And without any tanks, Clem and Trigger, they're being broken. They're being broken here and now. There's nothing left. The mass lift on every single Marine. On the Zealots even. Zealots get lifted. Marines get lifted as well. Everything gets lifted. And the mass Phoenix reigns supreme. Just lift, Bappy. Just lift. True. How can they fight you if you just lift every single unit? And here comes Spirits. And Clem and Trigger, I mean, they did well for themselves pushing towards the gold, but unfortunately, they were not able to maintain their position. Bled out too many tanks. They've been broken. They have been broken. The gold is going to fall. Tempests have arrived. Zealots come in from behind for an attempt to surround. And Zealots take down most of the tanks, if not every single tank. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the end. And GG gets called. The blue team gets broken. And MaxPax and Spirit, they kick things off with a lead, with a win. GG. MaxPax and Spirit, they put a point on the board. Again, I want to say there was potential with the initial move out. I do appreciate that that Trigger, his answer to the Mass Phoenix was with a handful of Archons. But if you remember, it was only two. It was only two Archons. He didn't really commit into greater Archon production. And in the end, they were overwhelmed. The tanks, they went down one after the other ahead of time before the main fight. And once the tank count was reset, then MaxPax and Spirit did commit. They just dove in, then and there. GG. GG, well played. And that leads us into Game 2. Going to be loading into Rohana. Oh, I believe for the first time tonight. A map that we have not featured at all here during the broadcast. We've made it. What does it mean? It means family. Kind of. As in the top left-hand corner of Rohana, we have our red team. We have our red team here. We have our duo of MaxPax and Spirit. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the blue team here with Trigger and Clem. Let's go. And we see why this map has been vetoed so often and why we have not actually cast on this map at all the entire broadcast. This is one of the few maps with split off bases. Again, typically it's very common to see shared main bases and shared naturals. That is not the case here. We have an isolated main base for Spirit and an isolated main base for MaxPax as well. So they have to protect on their own. The naturals are shared, true, the naturals are shared, but there's no ramp coming into the naturals, so it's also a very exposed location. It looks like aggression is going to be favored on this map, as you can target specific players, and even defending the natural is not going to be easy. It's a very large natural base. It's huge. Like, look how big the natural is. Here we go. As Trigger, he does open up 2-gate. Interesting. So 2-gate opener out of Trigger, a much more aggressive start. And MaxPax opening up with a gate into Cybercore into Stargate, I would imagine. As Clem goes double gas, interesting. Double gas opener, faster factory, faster tech out of Clem. And in general, this is just a more aggressive build from our blue team. Trigger and Clem, they're just being much more aggressive, much more assertive here. And we'll see what this leads to. This can lead into a one base all-in, depending on the tech of choice. Probe gets hunted down. Do see a Spirit back at home going for extra racks. This is interesting, going for a 3 racks. Okay, a rare sight indeed, especially in 2v2s. But we have 3 racks here out of Spirit. And we have our tech of choice Stargate from MaxPax. It's going to be a Stargate after the expansion. Here we go. So economic openers out of our red team into 3 racks and into, of course, Phoenixes. Meanwhile, our blue team goes for delayed expansions. I mean, Trigger, he doesn't even have an expansion yet. There we go. Just now being taken. A very late natural base for Trigger and Clem. As his short depths have arrived. And catching up the depth of Trigger. Sorry, of MaxPax. Gonna be shut down. Trigger, he shades in. But MaxPax, he walls off. Does wall off in time. MaxPax, he pulls away, he saves his probes. Alas, Clem, he does dive in, rushes past the bunker, at least tries to. And these are some okay trades for our blue team, but nothing major here. No major economic damage I'm sure they were hoping for. So the bunker is secure. Spirit, he has Stim on the way. Does get into the mineral line though. SCVs are going down. And what, 2, 3 SCV kills, workers they line up. Oh my god. And Clem is gonna lose all his units here, but what did he get done? He was able to get 4 SCVs. 4 SCVs and 1 probe. It's some okay damage here, but bearing in mind that both both Spirit and MaxPax did have more economic starts, so they were already ahead. Already had that worker lead. And they maintain that worker lead as well. At least MaxPax does. Over Trigger. Blink is on the way. Oracle goes to the stasis. Trigger up. Pulls away in time. Mostly pulls away in time. Going for another stasis. Ooh. Catching out 3 probes. Catching out 3 workers, and MaxPax, he is actually not going into Phoenixes. I had made that assumption with a Stargate opener, but no. It's going to be Oracle into Blink. Blink is on the way for MaxPax. Switching into Ground Toss. Let's go. We're switching things up. Meanwhile, the red team is the first to take a third, first to expand. Again, they had more economic starts to begin with. And Spirit does move out. Again, with his initial 3-Vax opener, he already has Stim. He already has that upgrade advantage over Clem. And he's pushing. He's going to be active. Waiting for reinforcements. MaxPax is going to join him. Does join him in the center. Nice Stim. Forces out the Blink. The tank is unsieged. But Clem does have a second tank in position. And they hold. Clem and Trigger, they do hold on. They force back the army. Oh no! Stasis will connect! Yeah, massive stasis. From here, the red team can turn back around, take the fight. Decent pickups. But Spirit's overstimmed. He's heavily overstimmed here. As another stasis does connect as well, catching both armies twice. Does slow down both armies. Spirit pulls away. I mean, Clem is still gaining ground with these tanks. Still pushing forward. Again, he does have that greater tank count with the initial double gas. The earlier tank production. Forcing his way up the ramp, and Trigger and Clem, they're gaining ground. They're pushing in. Yeah, they're pushing forward. And Spirit, he has no tanks. He has no tanks, no bunkers. Stasis goes off once again. Massive connection. But it may not matter. And Clem and Trigger, they're here. They have arrived. They break through the defensive line. Boys are being pulled. Spirit has almost nothing left. No Marines, no Marauders, no nothing for Spirit. And MaxPax, he cannot do this on his own. I mean, the stasis traps have been impressive, don't get me wrong. But outside of that, there's almost nothing left. Just a handful of Stalkers. MaxPax down to 9 Stalkers. Warps in a DT. There's a skin. There is a skin available. Forcing a recall. MaxPax did have a third. Setting up his own proxy. There's another skin. And MaxPax, he's down to his last breath here. Down to the main. Main base being depowered. GG gets called. MaxPax gets broken. And Spirit soon thereafter. GG. Clem and Trigger, we fight back. We make a series out of this. Let's go. GG, well played. We have the back and forth. And we tie things up. Again, Spirit, he had a lot of potential when it came to his 3-Vax, but as we saw, he was just heavily overstimmed, and more importantly, Clem was set up with those tanks. He was set up in time, was able to fully wall up. Oh, sorry, I said fully wall up. He was able to siege in time, I should say, was able to take some better fights and snowball out of control from there. The stasis traps, they were amazing when it came to slowing down the push, but the push was still a force to be reckoned with. And unfortunately, Spirit just had a really hard time supporting MaxPax just because of his build. It means that he delayed his medevacs, delayed his tank production. He just had overstimmed bio that just crumbled here. Before the blue team, GG. GG, well played. That leads us into game 3. Now, as a reminder, this is not the ace match. It's a best of 5. Best of 5. We have plenty more games ahead of us, but this will determine who gains momentum in this series. Let's go. Who will gain... Oh my God. Who will gain momentum? This morning, in the bottom right-hand corner of Emerald City, we have our red team. We have our red duo here. We have Spirit and And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the blue team tying up the series 1-1. The runner-up of last month, we have Trigger and Clem. Okay, here we go. And again, last game we had more greedy, more economic builds by Spirit and MaxPax. They were punished for it in the end, as MaxPax, he was even fully saturating his third base as the 2-base all-in had arrived. So MaxPax, he was caught with his pants down, Spirit as well. And we'll see how we adjust our approaches. Once again, Trigger takes the gas. Does take the gas. MaxPax does dip in. Dips in, confirms that this time it's not double gate. This time it's not a 2-gate opener, it's going to be a gateway into a Cybercore. So a much more standard opener here into an earlier expansion. And this time both teams are being more economic. This time we have more economic starts here from everyone involved. We can calm down. Calm things down. Whew, we can settle in. And we'll see where this takes us. See where this takes us. As both players are mirroring each other. Basically, we're waiting for the tech. We're waiting for either a Twilight Council opener or Stargate or Robo from the Protoss players. We have the answer. Stargate here from MaxPax. No surprise there. Even last game, it was a Stargate opener, but if you remember, it was a switch into Blink Stalkers afterwards. So we'll see if he goes for the same thing. Meanwhile, a second gateway out of Trigger instead leads us to believe it's going to be a Twilight Council opener here from our Protoss. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on Trigger. As I don't think we've seen Phoenix Wars so far in 2v2s. At least not tonight. We haven't seen both players try to fight for control of the sky. I don't know if that's really a fight you want to take against MaxPax. Like, we have seen players like Hero and even players like Skillus and Showtime actually defeat MaxPax in Phoenix Wars. That has occurred. We've casted it many times. But despite that, in a 2v2 environment, it sounds very risky and very difficult to pull off. Like, there's an X factor of the teammate, of course, right? There is that X factor where they can support with Cyclones, with Marines, with Bio, with turrets. And it looks like it's something that Trigger he doesn't want to mess with. Twilight Council. It is going to be a Twilight Council opener. Meanwhile, there it is, that second Stargate. Second Stargate into Mass Phoenix from MaxPax. No surprises here. It's what we expect, true. It's what we expect. Catching out one of the Hellions. Just the one. The other does survive. As a Trigger, he does rush into his third base. Getting to Blink. I believe just 2-gate. Yeah, just 2-gate Blink to a third. Very greedy build here by Trigger. Very greedy. We'll see if he gets away with it. Meanwhile, Hallucination does scout both Stargates. So Trigger is trying to get away with a little greed. He also confirms Mass Phoenix. As MaxPax, he just pinned. He just pointed out to Spirit that the third base was taken. It's halfway done. So he just pointed out that Trigger was being greedy. They know. Oracle dives in, gets shut down by the Vikings real hard and real fast. Oracle goes down. Nice defense here from Clem. Shuts down the Oracle. Behind this, a no mech from Spirit going into Bio. Going to Bio Tank. And I would imagine Clem is doing the same. Yeah, getting his tank production. Vikings are amassing initially, which is not quite necessary here against the Mass Phoenix. Need those Vikings. And you can see that they're getting in position. We have Stalkers to defend the mineral line, and we have Vikings to respond as well. So Stalker, Viking are from the blue team. They're ready for MaxPax. We'll force him back. Force him to retreat. Likewise, MaxPax taking his third. Getting to +1 air attack. Just committing. Oh, the Phoenixes. Let's go. Let's go. Likewise, we do see Spirit just securing himself, getting his third on the low ground, building up. Tanks are sieged. No major aggression, it's just Phoenixes. It's just the Phoenixes just harassing, poking in, keeping an eyes on the bases, keeping eyes on the expansions, on the economy. And this usually leads into Skytoss, like into a Fleet Beacon, into Carrier or Tempest. But now committing into just pure Phoenix. Again, we'll see how Trigger tries to respond to this. Now SV's going to be going down. Not bad. Clem trying to keep up. Trigger, he's now taking towards splash damage. We have the Bay and the Temple Archives on the way for Storm. Storm for Archons, more importantly. And if you remember, when it came to the game on Undercurrent, I really did enjoy the Archon support that we saw out of Trigger, but it was only 2 Archons. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing extra Archons this time instead. To have a stronger defense against these Phoenixes. We'll see what he goes for, though. We'll see. Once again, MaxPax poking in. Poke in. Siege lines are being set up. Both teams, I should say, being hyper defensive. But this is what I was worried about. Here comes the mothership. Here comes the mothership, and here comes the Tempest production as well. Like MaxPax, he's reaching his final form. At the same time, Spirit, what do we see? BCs, Fusion Core, Starport. If this was a 1v1, I would assume it's for ranged liberators, but here from the side of Spirit in 2v2, I would assume mass BC. Oh boy. So they're just getting into that ideal kind of late game composition. Spirit and Clem still very mid game oriented. We have extra starports on the way for more Vikings. True. Viking production. Bit of a misrally. Thankfully, does pull away. And so far as Trigger, he's still just committed to a ground-based composition. Morphing in Archons, Colossus. Blue team is going to be the first to move out. They're spotted. Spirit does scan. Does scan the main army. Clem rotating over as well. Oh. Trigger still being active. Still being active. Now, what Trigger has to be careful about here, he's on his own. Like, Trigger, he's by himself, which is concerning. Clem, he is now getting into mass mech, of course. Did begin with Bio, into mass tank Thor, which is what you want here in late game 2v2. But we need to work together here. Do need to work together. Spirit committing here to still Bio tank, which doesn't scale as efficiently here as mech. Like in the late game of 2v2, like mech and Skytoss is like is what you want. Just mech and Skytoss. Meanwhile, it looks like it was ranged libs, not BCs out of Spirit. My apologies. But I'll be honest, like these Marines, they didn't really add too much to the fight here. But we have a Doom Drop. Let's go. Doom Drop into the main. Clem is under fire. At the same time, they're trying to push in. There's a Cloak. Cloak gets activated. Tempest. Oh my god. Yeah, just picking away a trigger. Storm will zone. Spirit kills the main base. Tempest just getting free units. Another Storm connects. And Spirit's drop is cleaned up. Oh my god. Likewise, their trigger is being shut down, losing another Colossus, another Archon, and the War Prism. These Phoenixes, they've served their purpose. At this point, we have to get rid of them. Okay, just going for a mass dive. And as MaxPax gets rid of these Phoenixes, he replaces them with more Carriers and more Tempest. That's the goal. Takes down the Colossus. Colossus goes down. How many Vikings does Clem have? 27. 27 Vikings. I mean, that'll do it. That's a lot of Vikings. That is the answer to the Skytoss. Another double drop. Into the main base. As they pick up a couple of tanks. Marines, they do trade very efficiently in the main. Forcing more Warpins. Even catching out potentially some of the Vikings. Yeah, Vikings are being targeted. Getting 2 Vikings so far. Meanwhile, Spirit, he has 18 Vikings himself. Has some support. Vikings, they clash. Ooh. MaxPax a little far behind. He has to support his boy. As Clem, he will win this battle in the sky. Storms pop up, they shut down the mothership. Spirit taking some rough trades. It bleeds out a lot of supply here. Bleeds out a lot of Vikings. Oh my god. Taking another storm. Another storm connects. Clem down to 11 Vikings. Making 7 Vikings at a time. He's not stopping. Yo, and Trigger coming in with a mass ET. Going for the army. And Trigger is pushing through. So far, Clem and Trigger, they're doing well for themselves. They're trading very well. And the problem here is that Spirit, he's become a non-issue. Like, Spirit, he has some tanks, he has some Vikings, that is true, but Spirit, he plummets in supply. Spirit's still committed into Mass Marine. He's making 7 Marines at a time. +3 attack. But he's not going to be able to hold on. Planetary goes down. Trigger, he wants to stop riding. He's going to get it as well. MaxPax out of position. Brutal Storm. Storm on the Phoenixes. Phoenixes are going down one after the other. The Skytoss a little bit too far behind. Now, MaxPax, he's maxed out. Can he 1v2? I mean, the tank line is helping. Kind of. Spirit, he bleeds out with his Vikings. MaxPax, he has no splash damage. But he does break through. Yeah, the mass carrier. Let's go. He does find all these tanks. Thor goes down. Tanks going down as well. Mate, MaxPax, he's 1v2. On his own, Poppy is breaking in. Now, MaxPax, he does not have Storm. Storm is still on the way. But MaxPax snowballing out of control. Breaks through the main army, takes down the gold. At the same time, though, Trigger, he's across the map, distracting Spirits. forcing him to land. Okay, how many Vikings? 14. Oh, massive blink. Blink shuts down one of the carriers, gets a second. 2 carriers going to be going down. 3 carriers go down. Expensive losses for MaxPax. Did overextend. I mean, the fight that he took at the gold base was impressive, but clearly he needs support. He needs Spirit. He needs his teammates, and Spirit, he's down to 67 supply. Spirit, he barely has a standing army. Ah, no. MaxPax, he needs his boy. He needs his teammate. But Spirit, he doesn't really have an economy. Like, the DTs have been harassing so much and so well. Spirit cannot afford an army. MaxPax is on his own. DTs, they just keep waddling in. Just keep pressing. They keep harassing, they get into the mineral lines. And Max, he just cannot keep up. Can't keep up. Don't like this, baby. Don't like this. Yeah, another base going to be falling. Another Nexus. Another mineral line. MaxPax's army is impressive, but, you know, he's by himself. He's got like a handful of Marines. He's got like 4 or 5 Vikings. 3 tanks. He has a semblance of an army. And Trigger, he's killing Spirits. He's killing Piotr. Piotr can't make anything. Still making more Vikings. Speaking of, that's 32 Vikings for Clem. Jesus. Takes down 2 carriers. Kites back. Trigger. Does he race back home? MaxPax is moving in. Trigger coming in from behind. And we sandwich the main army. Ooh, Mothership goes down. No recall. And MaxPax is going to lose everything. Should be losing everything here. Once again, blinking in. Storm does connect with the Stalkers. But look at the Skytoss. The Skytoss crumbles. GG gets called. And Clem and Trigger, they take a lead in the series. GG. GG, well played. They do take a lead. Again, Spirit, he was torn apart time and time again. Spirit, he was losing mineral lines, losing bases to Trigger's aggression, whether it was DTs, Zealots, Stalkers as well. Spirit was torn apart and he just could not support his teammates. He could not support himself. As Spirit, he went down, and MaxPax soon thereafter. MaxPax did have some strong fights. It was really impressive when he broke the gold, but that's all he really had in him. That's all he really had in him. Then Trigger and Clem were able to recover, able to build back up, and with that, GG. GG, well played. Trigger and Clem, they have a lead in the series. 1 more game is all they need to be this month's champion. Can they get the revenge, or do we force an ace match? Here we go. Up next, we have Reclamation. And the pressure is on MaxPax and Spirit. Pressure is on. Also, I didn't even notice. Wait, hold on. Is today Valentine's Day? I didn't even know. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day, Papi. Oh my god. I mean, what better way to celebrate Valentine's Day than watching 2v2s? True. Ah. They're each other's Valentine. Ah. Wholesome, Papi. Wholesome. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Reclamation, we have the red duo. The red team, the red duo themselves. We have MaxPax and Spirit. Ah. They're each other's Valentines. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have their opponent. We have the blue duo. We have Trigger and Clem. Leading the series at 2-1. Here we go. So wholesome. Hello, where? Hello. Exactly. So wholesome. Ah. Spending the evening together. It's beautiful. Playing Skytoss, storming each other. What more could you ask for? What more? True. Playing 2v2s with your one and only. And us, we're watching. Oh no. We like to watch, man. We like to watch. Ah. It's beautiful. As for now, MaxPax, he will take his natural economic opener. A gate expand into Cybercore, a bit of a greedier start at a MaxPax. Likewise, Spirit doing the same, ranks into expand, single gas. So economic openers here for my red team. Even slightly more greedy at a MaxPax. Meanwhile, back at home, 2 gate opener out of Trigger. And double gas out of Clem. Ooh, okay, we've taken our roles here. Red team is going to be defensive, and the blue team is going to be aggressive. And we'll see how aggressive. Reaper moves out. Rick does move out. Behind this, a Stargate is on the way, so shouldn't be surprised. Just gate expanded and Cybercore to Stargate opener out of MaxPax. Bunker is going to be delayed. And we're moving out. Again, with that double gate opener, it's going to be double adept. So double adept coming in to reinforce, 2 adepts taking one-shot probes. And making their way across the map. And we'll see if Trigger can punish the greed. The bunker is still not done, by the way. Uh-oh. Yeah, the bunker will not complete. SVs get zoned away. Oh my god, Spirit, he does save the workers, just barely diving into the CC. Does protect them. Likewise, shield battery's done as well. Marines that come down from the main. They're going to be cleaned up. The bio army will fall. But so far, yeah, we will defend. Reapers into the main base. Adepts are being cleaned up. Reaper is wreaking havoc. And it is getting a little bit chaotic here as they're still just rallying across the map. He doesn't stop. But the Oracle will shut this down. The Reapers, the Hellions, Adepts, nothing shoots up. The Oracle completely cleans up the aggression. And the red team holds. The red team does hold in the aftermath as the dust does settle. We do see that MaxPax is ahead in probes, MaxPax is up in workers, and Clem is slightly ahead in SCVs. Slightly, by 2. So I would say that the red team comes out in a better position here. Oracle hits the main, going for the stasis. Trigger pulls away in time. Does pull away. Pulls back, Clem getting his 3rd CC. And we're working towards a later game state here. Again, it was a very chaotic start to the game, but we can see that it's leading towards a more economic mid-game. As MaxPax is built up to 2 oracles, he can one-shot probes. Stalkers are in position. Link is not yet done. But he's ready for it. And Trigger will defend. He defends, he holds. Spirit likewise going into bio tank. Stim is on the way. Building up his bio army. Clem doing something similar here. Still no stim. He's getting his tanks. Tanks are building up, Vikings as well. This looks very similar when it comes to the setup that Clem had last game. Going into a heavy Viking army with tanks. Meanwhile, this is not Skytoss, by the way. That is Blink. So MaxPax this time, Stargate opener, not into Phoenix, into Blink Stalkers. Okay, so MaxPax once again, he is switching into Ground Toss. Ooh, Clem is playing mech. Doesn't know. I mean, again, these Vikings are less effective this time. Like, he's just assuming they're going to be Phoenixes. So, big investment into the Vikings. Vikings that are not really going to come into play. From here, switching into mech. Real early on. And mech could be very powerful, don't get me wrong, but it takes time. It takes time to really build up. He's embracing that mech composition. So because they poke in. Two poke in. So far, Trigger he's holding. Is holding the line. So far, they're defending the bases. So far, Trigger and Clem, they're holding on. Meanwhile, because of the map control, we just have free 3rd and 4th base here for the red team. Taking a greater economy. Clem's army needs more time. As the tank is going to fall. Clem is going double armory, double upgrades, more factories, more mech. But again, it takes a while for it to really get going. And you can see even Clem landing those Vikings, recognizing that they don't really have as much value. Does confirm Blink Stalkers out of MaxPax. And here comes the red team. Pushing on the right hand side. Now Trigger, he's in position here towards the left. He's on the low ground. Likewise, Clem, he's somewhat split between the bases. Charge is done. And they're moving in. Yeah, the tanks, they do deny the natural... Sorry, deny the 3rd. Base is under fire. Blue team was out of position. And the Nexus is going to go down. Meanwhile, Clem, he's not here to support. One tank falls. Trigger, he's on his own. Vikings are doing what they can. The boys are being pulled as well. And Trigger and Clem, they're just being torn apart left and right. They were not ready for this. They were not ready for the rotation. Trigger, he was defending by himself. Clem's trying to keep up, but it's a very immobile army. Just unsieging, resieging his tanks. Trigger losing another expansion. And again, the tanks are just so far behind. It's essentially a 1v2 here. Clem, now he arrives, but it's too late. The base falls. And this is the downside of a mech army like this. It's so immobile. Oh. Nice catch on some of those tanks. With that Trigger, he's stuck on 2 bases. He's stuck on a 2-base economy. Clem, he's on 3. But Trigger, he needs an expansion. He gets denied again. Just keeps getting denied. And yeah, Spirit, he just stims it. He stims, he wins, he breaks the main force of Trigger. It's turning into a 1v2 now where Trigger, this is the army. Just a handful of Zealots, 1 Stalker. Trigger has no economy. And sure, Clem has been able to build up a high tank count, that is true. But he's never where he needs to be. He can't make use of it. Spirit just dropping into the main. Again, they're just taking advantage of how isolated Trigger is. He's by himself. And Clem again, he's just trying to keep up. He's stuck at the ramp. In a brutal position. Tank volley's going up. And Spirit, he's going for the mineral line. Takes down the workers, takes down the final few units here of Trigger. Avoids those freedom zones. Takes down the pylons. And Trigger can warp in a handful of units at a time. MaxPax, he wants some of this action. Moving out. 3rd base is exposed. Clem, again, not quite in position here. He wasn't ready for this move. He's also just popping up in the mineral line. Nice snipe here. Catching 2 libs. 2 Liberators go down. Again, MaxPax only losing Zealots here. Now warping in the DT. And Spirit, he is still not cleaned up. He's still in the main. No shot. Still in the main base. Zealots, they catch reinforcing tanks. Expensive losses for Clem. Warping into the main. SCVs are going down to DTs and Zealots as well. And the blue team has been broken. GG gets called, and MaxPax and Spirit, they tie up the series 2-2. We're going to the ace match. GG. We're going all the way to game 5. Again, we see that the real strength of mech really kicks into high gear when you get into a 4 base, when you're able to get almost a maxed out army, build up your forces. In the lead up to that though, unfortunately Clem, he was just out of position. Like time and time again, he was at his 3rd base, he was at his 4th base when fights were happening on the other side of the bases with Trigger instead. And Trigger, he was just being torn apart as he was just perpetually stuck in a 1v2 game state. Clem was trying to rotate. Whenever he did, he'd have to come back over, back and forth, back again. Again, just a really slow moving army for Clem, so he just couldn't keep up. And GG. GG, well played. They did initially focus on Trigger, then Clem thereafter. And with that, we're going all the way to the ace match, all the way to game 5. Let's go. We're going to the ace match here. And you could sense the frustrations from Clem as well, because like Clem, he had a large army, like he had a lot of tanks, he had a big force, but he just couldn't use it, right? He couldn't use the army. He was never quite where he needed to be, as both MaxPax and Spirit were eluding him. And that leads us here into the ace match, into the final game, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Crimson Research Lab, we have our red team. We have the reigning 2v2 January champions, and they brought it all the way back to the ace match. Can they keep it going? Can they win 2 months in a row? It is Spirit and MaxPax. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue team. We have the reigning runner-ups. They were last month's runner-up, and now they're here looking for their win, looking for their first big 2v2 championship even. We have our blue team of Clem and Trigger. Here we go. As we load into a much larger map in the map pool, very large map. We have a shared main, we have a shared natural, we have a pocket third. Only one player though, only one player can get the pocket base. And likewise a pseudo shared 4th on the right hand side as well, or 3rd. So again, a lot of bases to be taken. Very large map as well, can lead to longer game states. Last time we were here, we saw a laser and skillless pop off and be hyper greedy and just get away with that greed as well. This was the game where a laser, he lost like 51 drones. Like, he lost a lot of workers, and he still maxed out anyway. It was crazy. A laser was an animal. I did recommend it, the VODs of a laser and skillless on Crimson Research. But we'll see how these players and these pairings match up. See how they compare, as it all comes down to this final game. So far, economic opener here out of MaxPax, going for gate expand into Cybercore, no surprise, into most likely Stargate. But just because we might see a Stargate opener doesn't mean it has to be Skytoss. We have seen, depending on the map, depending on the game state, MaxPax either embrace Mass Phoenix or transition out of it into Blink Stalkers. Like, he has been mixing it up. That's another thing we have to emphasize as well, is that if you remember, Clem, he was like blindly hard countering Mass Phoenix. He had made 5 or 6 Vikings, and there were no Phoenixes made. So the Vikings were, like, in a way, kind of dead supply. Wasn't really worth it. Oh, and for the first time, do you see what I see? Not a Stargate at a MaxPax. I mean, we see that. Stargate out of a Trigger for the first time in this tournament, or in this series, in this finals. Stargate play from our blue Protoss as well. Let's go. Let us go. Are we entering Phoenix Wars? No shot. As the Reaper Adept does dive in, bunker is done, shield battery as well. Probes are being targeted. 1, 2 probe kills so far. 2 probes go down. You see MaxPax, he was pinging the depot. He was like, Spirit, you didn't raise your depot. And with that, how many probe kills? 5. Oh my god, 5 probes going down. Very strong start here from the blue team. And we are indeed massing Phoenix. And that's a very fast second Stargate. Bold move out of Trigger. He's going to try to meet and then raise MaxPax with that Phoenix count and try to overwhelm. Going to try to beat MaxPax at his own game. Going Mass Phoenix. MaxPax going for a delayed second Stargate. Delayed because of all that economic damage. And so on MaxPax, he knows. Does confirm, forced to recall. Quick response. Quick response out of MaxPax. Does pull away. And Trigger, he will have the slight Phoenix lead. Have a slight advantage. I say slight, he's got 4-1. Not bad. But we spoke about it. Unlike in 1v1s, where Phoenix Wars can very quickly be decided with one big fight, here it's that much more different because of the supporting Terran army, right? Whether it's for Spirit or Clem, that is going to be a factor as well. Spirit, he's getting into Marines, into Stim, into Bio. What do we see out of Clem? We see Viking production. And this could be the beginning of mech again. Could be. First starport on the way for Spirit, going into a much earlier third CC, so very greedy play out of Spirit. Rushing into a third. Clem likewise going for his own fast third base as well. MaxPax, he's getting called out. The Oracle will fall. Does not scout the main. Nice catch. And we have a third Stargate now for Trigger. Again, just committing to Mass Phoenix. Meanwhile, MaxPax going for a faster fleet beacon into Phoenix range. And the scan reveals. Scan does reveal the, of course, commitment here into the upgrade. In a Phoenix range. Checking the armies here. Trigger, he's up 3 Phoenixes. And Trigger, he wants to fight. He wants to force the engage. Vikings coming in as well. Looks like mech. Yeah, it's going to be mech once again from Clem. So mech and Skytoss from the blue team. One Viking gets caught off guard. Ooh, oh my god, the tank volley though. Okay, nice positioning. Base the Marines in. So soul play here by Clem. Trigger as well, looking for any kind of stray units. Tanks are pushing forward. Takes down the stasis. Stasis does fall. Phoenix range is almost done. MaxPax, with that, he will get the first shot up. With that, no pulse crystals. Vikings running away as well. And again, I'm concerned that these Marines are not going to be too effective. Like, Marines, they have a lot of anti-air, they have a lot of DPS, that is true. But what happens if they cannot get close enough because of these tanks? Like, the goal here for Clem is to zone away the Marines with these tanks. Oh. Nice Figos, 2 Phoenix, very nice Figos here out of MaxPax, and here comes the Stim. The boys are being pulled, and Spirit, he wants those tanks. Takes down 1, takes down 2. He's gonna get all 3. Yeah, all 3 tanks going out, massive pickups. Clem overextends. And so does Trigger as well. Force is trying to engage, but here come the Marines to support. And the red team, they take the better fight. They take the better trades, and they back off. Whew, okay, oh my god. As it settles, looking at the units tab here. Now Trigger, he still maintains a Phoenix lead. He's still up 2 Phoenixes. Tank count was reset. Down to 2 tanks for Clem, bearing in mind that Clem is playing mech, so making 2 tanks at a time. Into double armory, into double upgrades. Bearing in mind, Vikings are less mobile than Phoenixes. But ideally, Clem wants to be there to support Trigger in the air battle. And again, honestly, the tank army here for Clem is going to be really crucial. As we mentioned before, as we saw, without those siege tanks, these Marines, they're going to go uncontested. Like, these Marines are going to be a big factor here in these Phoenix Wars. As there's just so much DPS available here. And without the tanks, these Marines are going to go unchecked. So Clem, as you can see, is spreading out his tanks between all the bases, doing his best. MaxPax and Spirit, they are taking more bases though. Mass expanding. They have map control. Ooh, Trigger, he's going for the carrier already. Okay. Working towards Skytos. Getting to Mass Carrier. MaxPax, he's still committing here into Mass Phoenix with the Mothership. And we're going for the Doom Drop. We're diving into the pocket base, and are we in position? We're not. Yeah, his trigger is completely out of position here. His racing going over, tank goes down, the base is going to fall. And Clem, he will lose the expansion. Again, he's just spread too far thin. Again, his tanks, they were spread between 5 bases. And they targeted one base and they brought it down. And here come the Marines. Oh my god. They stim in, they take down 2 of those Phoenixes, a tank as well. The army does pull away. And massive tank shot going off. But this was a better trade for the red team. As they are crippling Clem's economy. Bring down an expansion. And Spirit and MaxPax, they're rotating. They're rotating towards the top side. You can see the ping. They want that expansion. Sugar and Clem, they're racing over. And the Sky units will get there in time, but what about the tanks? Yeah, you can see the tanks, they're trying to reposition, but they're so slow. Oh, the Mothership! Mothership gets caught out. Carrier as well. And more Marines, they stim in. Tanks are keeping up. The tanks have arrived. Mothership falls for MaxPax as well. Mothership does fall. And the tanks are set up on the high ground. What about the base? What about the expansion? It's completely isolated. It's abandoned. Nexus is going to go down. Once again, a massive pickup. Geeks, they trade. Tanks, they zone away some of the Marines. Yeah, they're saving the expansion. Do you see another ping? Max has catching out a tank. Picking up more Phoenixes as well. Very nice pickups. Phoenixes going down one after the other. But Clem, he does save the base. They are down in workers. Trigger is down almost 20 workers compared to his opponent. With the MaxPax. His counterpart, I should say. And MaxPax catching out Vikings, catching out Phoenixes. Very nice pickups here. Fighting barely out of range of these carriers. Dancing with the army, rotates over. No turrets here to defend. Nothing in position. Oh, the Vikings are there. They try to be. Oh no. As the mineral line, it goes down. Clem just getting pulled apart. Team just fighting the Vikings head on. And here comes a stim. Spirit, he dives in, takes down 2 of those tanks. No tanks left. Going for the counter, the carriers! Oh, there are tanks on the high ground, thankfully. There are tanks on the high ground that will protect the ramp. They will protect the carriers. But what about the base? What about the expansion? The Nexus goes down. Marines are heavily overstimmed. But they still have the DPS they need. And this is just very similar to the previous game. Except in a longer game state, I should say. Where earlier they were able to bring down Clem and Trigger in the early to mid game. Here they're still being pulled apart. Clem is trying to keep up with those tanks. More bases under control of the red team. Spirit scans, sees the army. Gets one more tank. And pieces that they just find another mineral line. They just find another base. Likewise, they catch reinforcements. Phoenixes and Vikings. Oof. Once again, just very efficient pickups here by MaxPax. And he gets another mineral line. Oh my god. And Clem has no economy left. He's down to how many SCVs? 37. 37 SCVs left for Clem. 2.5 base economy. Sorry, 1.5 base economy. And so far, MaxPax and Spirit doing a great job here, hitting 2 bases at once. Knocking down 2 expansions. And then Mass Marine, the man with gun. He stims, he wins, takes out every single tank. Clem, he was late to siege, not in position, another base falls, GG gets called. And MaxPax and Spirit, they do it again. 2 months in a row. The best 2v2 team in the world. Oh my god, GG gets called. They will take it 3-2, becoming this month's uThermal 2v2 circuit champions. GG. GG, well played, MaxPax and Spirit. They will take it. And what I appreciate here out of these last 2 games is that traditionally, the go-to composition in 2v2, like the kind of like ideal, like what everyone pins as like the best way to play 2v2, is not just Terran and Protoss, but Mech and Skytoss. Like Mech and Skytoss, like that is you don't get better than that, especially when it comes to like maxed out 200 supply armies. That is true. Like it is a terrifying composition where the Mech player controls the ground and the Skytoss player controls the air, and they work in unison and they snowball out of control. Like it's a very intimidating army. But despite that, we see Spirit and MaxPax making really good use of not Mech and Skytoss, but Bio and Skytoss, both in the previous map and this one as well, Game 4 and Game 5. Whereas they were able to really stop and hinder Clem and Trigger before they could get going, right? They never maxed, right? Like Clem and Trigger, they never maxed out. They never had a secure 4-base economy either. They were just torn apart left and right, time and time again. MaxPax and Spirit really abusing their, or taking advantage of their mobility and yeah, just being able to pull both Clem and Trigger apart. Part of that is also the maps, right? Like the maps themselves are a little bit larger. I mean, actually, Game 4 less so. Game 5, the map is larger and the bases are spread out, so it is difficult to spread between the bases. It shows just how important map vision and map awareness is to be able to preemptively set up and be in position by reading the movements of your opponents. Otherwise, like there's no way you can defend. Meanwhile, we saw in Game 4 it was a little bit different because the map was smaller in Game 4. Despite that, earlier aggression was more favored, and GG, well played, MaxPax and Spirit, they will claim it. It was close though, went all the way to the ace match. You know, we had a back and forth, we had a full series here. It's what we wanted between these two teams. And yeah, MaxPax and Spirit, they win it again. But I should emphasize, because of the ace match, it's not like there's like a big skill gap between one team and the other. Clearly, they're very closely skilled, very evenly matched. And I'm sure Clem and Trigger, this is also a learning experience as well. I mentioned this at the start of the broadcast. Like 2v2 is like criminally, like I almost said underperformed. It's like criminally under researched is what I will say. Where 2v2 fell by the wayside real fast and real quick. Like it never really was taken seriously as a competitive form, and we saw like a little bit of 2v2 throughout the years, throughout like the 10-year life cycle of even more than 10 years actually now, StarCraft 2. Where we had like a little bit of 2v2, like a sporadic event here and there, or like a show match here and there. But for whatever reason, in the twilight years of StarCraft, there's been a lot more attention on this format. Whether it comes to Wardy's 2v2 events last year in 2024, or now the new circuit that uThermal has started. And what's really cool about this is that it's forcing, or it's allowing all these pro players to indulge in a different format and to explore it as well. Like I would say that at this point, like 2v2, there's still a lot of like growth. There's still a lot of room to like research and explore as well. The meta is slowly shifting, slowly evolving, especially with the latest change. 2v2 meta has shifted, especially because of the feeding change. For those that are unaware, for this tournament specifically, not for January, but for February, we did enforce a mod to be used, which does actually limit feeding. It does limit resource trading a little bit more. It means it basically extends the time that is required for you to then trade resources. I want to say up until like 5:30 or something. Like so. Now it takes longer because previously in January, like feeding strategies were really popular and really dominant. Just the ability to just give your resources to your teammates and go into mass Phoenix, which we saw kind of be really dominant and really prominent in the previous month. So a mod was introduced to get rid of that, or to limit that, I should say, just because, you know, it kind of takes away from the spirit of 2v2. 2v2, you want it to be like two armies against each other, not one like buffed army against two other players. Like that's not what we want. So again, it goes against the kind of like the spirit of what we're looking for in this tournament, and in 2v2 in general. And because of that, we could see more changes, right? We could see even that time increase even further. We could see other limitations as well, or maybe not, right? We'll see. We'll see what's done in the future. We'll see how the 2v2 meta does shift, does change, how it's modded as well. And with that, GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to MaxPax and Spirit. It's great to see more 2v2 here, and I look forward to seeing more of them and more of all these players and all these teams next month in March. As a reminder, this is a monthly tournament, not a weekly or a bi-weekly. It is a monthly event. And shout out to all those in uThermal's community for making this happen as well. uThermal, of course, he is covering it, he is casting it, he is bringing it to the forefront, but it is his community that came together and is funding the event as well. They got a lot of support, a lot of donations, a lot of just incentive here to run the event. And so far, it's been a lot of fun. Has been a lot of fun. And again, it's not like we're getting into this like on a regular basis and it's taking over 1v1, not at all, but it's just really refreshing to get a little bit more out of StarCraft, because there's more to StarCraft than just 1v1, of course. I mean, we're branching out in a lot of ways, right? We're casting a lot of StarCraft Evolution, we're casting Warcraft 3 Evolution, casting 2v2s, casting Beast of the Hill FFAs. There's been a lot of over the past year, we have seen a lot of like branching out into these other forms of SE2, and it's been a lot of fun. It's always great to kind of sprinkle it in every now and then. Sprinkle it in. GG. Otherwise, with that, we're going to be wrapping up. We're going to be wrapping up here for the morning. Again, when it comes to the next event, if you want to take part, signups are open. They're open to all players, all shapes, all sizes. All you need is a Valentine. All you need is a partner, another player to sign up, to play, to compete. There's no region restriction, there's no league restriction either. There are plenty of amateur players that do compete in these tournaments, and again, we will be there to help out if there's ever any issues making lobbies or making or using the mod or anything like that as well. For those that are curious, here in the CranKy Ducklings, we were helping to admin the event. We weren't casting it live, that's why we're casting it via replays a couple of days later. So we're covering the replay cast. When it comes to the main events, we are working behind the scenes. And again, shout out to uThermal for reaching out again. uThermal, near and dear to our hearts, uThermal, if you will. Again, long history of StarCraft and long history with the NA region or with the StarCraft region, and then the CranKy Ducklings as well. I say NA because, you know, uThermal, he's Mexican now. True. From Mexico. uThermal. Otherwise wrapping up. Otherwise, GG, well played. We are going to be wrapping up here for the time being. If you want some more StarCraft, if you are not satiated, then we got you covered, bam, with our weekly schedule. You can see here, Friday, we just wrapped up with the uThermal 2v2 tournament, and we're going to be live later on tonight at 8 p.m. KST with the OSC King of the Hill, with a very special edition, with the 200th edition of King of the Hill. Oh boy, I'm not ready. I need to sleep. Yesterday, I wasn't able to get any rest before the cast. Tonight, I'm going to get some work done, of course, and then I'm going to try and sleep as much as possible, because this 200th edition is 30 best of ones. 30 best of ones, back to back in a King of the Hill format. For those that are curious, what is King of the Hill? It's best of ones, pure best of ones. The winner stays on and earns more money. The loser is eliminated. So we have 30 best of ones, 30 players rising up, and we can see big win streaks. We can see win streaks broken as well. Because these are best of ones, you can see upsets. We've seen players like Spirit, MaxPax, Beyond, Solar. We've seen the most unlikely of players cheese the hell out of them and knock them out in best of ones as well. So it's a great format, and we're going to be covering it all here on the channel at later on tonight at 8 p.m. KST. Oh boy, that's gonna be in 6.5 hours. So again, I'm gonna go get some food, gonna go get some breakfast, and get ready for the night of StarCraft to come. Likewise, over the weekend we have KSL, we have the Korean StarCraft League Saturday afternoon. We also have the Firegrow Cup over the course of the weekend as well. Firegrow Cup is going to be over the course of Saturday and Sunday. Oh, sorry, I should say Sunday and Monday. We have Sparkling Tuna Cup, and I believe we have another cast over the weekend. Let me just double check here. But yes, we have a StarCraft Evolution PTR tournament as well. Jeez, we have some show matches. It's not on the schedule, but it's after KSL. So after KSL, we have another cast there as well. We do have to add that. We do have to update that. So my apologies. We'll get there. We'll add that event. Otherwise, GG. Well played. We are going to be raiding another StarCraft 2 streamer. Who's live? Who is live? Who is live at the moment? Who can we raid? Who can we send everyone over to? Let's have a look. Sal is asleep. Sal is sleeping. Vibe is playing World of Warcraft. Florencio's online. Let's go. Yeah, Florencio. Oh my god. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pony Dance. Thank you. Ga, baby ga. Do appreciate it. Thanks for streaming. Love the content. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. We do appreciate the support. Always. For 14 months. Over a year. Over a year of support. Thank you. Thank you. As always. Again, we're always here to bring you all the content, all the casting, all the StarCraft as much as we can. Kind of busy schedule, busy. All right, before we raid, if you want to help support us, you can do so via subscribing, of course. You can subscribe on Twitch, you can become a member on YouTube, you can check out our Patreon as well, or if you can't support us monetarily, you can support us in another way, of course, by following us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord, all things CranKy Ducklings. We're all over the place here, bringing you as much content as we can. We actually recently started making graphics as well for the weekly Open Cups. I posted it on Reddit yesterday, basically just a way to kind of like spread the news and spread the word. And I know that there's just so much StarCraft happening on a weekly basis, and it's hard to ask for viewers to watch everything. We know that you can't, so we're making like these weekly graphics with all these updates, with the results, I should say, with the scores, to help kind of keep people informed as to what's going on. So we're going to be doing that on a weekly basis as well. Otherwise, thank you so much. We're going to be heading off for the time being. I don't see many people live at the moment, but we'll find someone to raid. Maybe Florencia, maybe someone else. We'll find someone. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao. Bye. Ciao. Hasta luego.